I'm Dave Morrison, and I've had over 40 years professional audio experience. And in all that time, one of my biggest challenges is getting the talent to be close to the microphone so that we can have good signal. Have you ever been to a hybrid meeting or a Zoom meeting, any Toastmaster meeting that's online, and you can't hear them you can't hear the words? It happens to me all the time. My favorite saying is, eat the microphone. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. It's all about location, location, location. Mic placement is more important than the type of mic we use. So this is my rule of thumb for using microphones in hybrid meetings, especially because it's so difficult on the remote end to hear the speaker in a large group of people. We could use one of the big fancy microphones, a cheap one on the left and an expensive one on the right, or we can use a lavalier like I have right here, which is probably the best choice, honestly. People will often say condenser is the best because it's more sensitive. If I put a condenser up, I can hear the people on the back row, which is true. However, I can also hear the other person on the back row whispering to their neighbor. I can hear them shuffling their papers, and I can hear the air conditioner and the heater running in the background. Position is important. I'm going to run a couple of examples here. First, we'll do a visual example, then we'll do some auditory examples. This is my microphone in the middle of a room. I'm 4 feet away from this microphone, and it is probably 4 feet from the ceiling and 4 feet from the floor, and the side walls are a little wider. When I speak, the direct sound will take approximately 4 milliseconds to reach the microphone. Now remember, the sound is going to bounce off the floor, off the ceiling, and the side walls, and honestly the back wall too. It's going to take a little bit longer for the reflected sound to hit the microphone than the direct sound. And when we mix these signals together, it will sort of interfere and smear our consonants together. And it's our consonants that give us the intelligibility. It will make our T's sound like D's, and our B's sound like P's. Actually, it would make our P's sound like B's. But it makes it harder to understand. So we have 3 goals, audio-wise, in these hybrid meetings. Our first one is clarity. If we can't understand the speaker, all is lost. I've seen plenty of speakers, I can't understand anything they say. And the other 2 goals are equally as important because it's all about clarity and intelligibility. Nothing else really matters. Tone is a very distant 4th place. Yes, we want it all sound great, but it doesn't really matter if we can't be understood. I'm going to use the inverse square law to show how we can get better signal. This is the law that shows us how power will usually fall off as we get from a distance. Heat from the sun. If we are halfway between the sun and the earth, it's going to be 4 times as hot, 4 times more power anyway. And we're going to turn this around. That microphone is 4 feet out. If we bring it in 2 feet, we half the distance, and we're going to get 4 times as much power. And notice that the picture is 4 times as big. And when we go to 1 foot, it's going to be 4 times bigger still. And another 4 times. We can use that to our advantage. This is an example And because this is almost logarithmic, I'm going to show our voice get bigger and the reflections in this room, and honestly the reflections are nearly the same as noise. So it could be a echo off the walls, or it could be papers rustling. It makes no difference. But as we move closer to the microphone, the signal gets way, way bigger, and we turn it down, and the reflections get smaller and smaller, and the goal is to completely eliminate all the reflections. Well, we'll never get rid of them all, but we'll dominate it. Audio examples. This is an actual recording with no messing around. There's no automatic signal being manipulated by Zoom. And the first couple of words will be very quiet and the tone will be very thin. But it's in a low echo room. Not very much noise. This is from 8 feet away. This is from 4 feet away. This is from 2 feet away. This is from 1 foot away. This is from 6 inches away. And this is 3 inches away. Notice that the signal not only gets significantly louder, the tone changes dramatically. It becomes fuller the closer we get. Let's look at another example. Well, we're going to show this again. As our voice gets bigger, essentially the noise gets smaller and smaller. I'm going to just run 2 examples on this one. One at 8 feet away. There's actually noise in the background of this one, but you won't hear it because you won't hear anything. It's so quiet. This is from 8 feet away. This is 6 inches away. Now we're going to do the tricks that Zoom does. We're going to turn up the volume on the background noise. And this is a good thing with Zoom and a bad thing with Zoom. And we have to learn how to manipulate this, because it will take that signal from 8 feet away and turn it up significantly so we can understand it. But it also turns up the noise, and our tone is really thin. This is from 8 feet away. This is from 4 feet away. This is 2 feet away. This is 1 foot away. This is 6 inches away. This is 3 inches away. At 3 inches away, the noise is nearly gone, and honestly, our tone is infinitely better than at 8 feet away. And we have tricks. If you wear the lavalier microphone, then you can move 8 feet away from the camera and sound great. There's one other issue that Zoom has in order to do all of this fancy signal processing so that we can be sort of understood. Understood most of the time until we push the limits. This is from 8 feet away. Notice how the signal, the first word, the first sound at the beginning of each word is chopped off. It's called a gate. And a noise gate will open and let the signal through and then close to take the noise out. And that's assuming that the noise is at a low level. But if we're too far away, it will cut off the initial sound. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to show you what the noise gate does first. So this red signal is my input signal, and as long as it's above that green line, the signal will go through. That's the threshold we set on the noise gate, and we cannot control that in Zoom. At a lower level, we're still above the green line, so the signal will still come out, and as long as we're above that green line, the noise gate will stay open. So our goal is to keep the gate open, and if we keep the mic close to us, it shouldn't be a problem. In this slide, the signal is lower than the threshold, so no signal passes. This display The blue waveform at the very top of the screen is a sentence that I recorded. And it's going to open a noise gate. The threshold is what the red arrow is pointing to. And it's set pretty high right now. It's not going to let very much noise through, and it's going to chop off the initial part of my words, every word. And in the red box, you can see when the gate opens or closes. And open means the signal will go through. Close means it's going to shut all of the signal off. This next slide will show you that with a threshold set at a negative 11 decibels, which isn't important for anyone to really understand, but it's set really high. And so only from that little narrow region that the arrows are pointing to is the signal that will come through. But on our first example, we're going to set the gate a little bit lower so more sound will come through. In fact, almost all of the sound will come through. Let's listen.
A noise gate is used to remove low-level noise from a signal. When our voice exceeds a set threshold, the noise gate will open. When our voice goes below that threshold, the gate will close and no signal at all will come through.
And it takes a little while for the gate to open. Now let's set the gate really high.
A noise gate is used to remove low-level noise from a signal. When our voice exceeds a set threshold, noise opens.
We can't control the gate in Zoom, but we can control the position of our microphone. So we can keep the gate open. It's putting your microphone in the right place. And this is why I came up with a rule of thumb. It's just to help us to remember where we should put our microphone. If we want, and this is my rule of thumb, if we want good sound, stay within 12 inches. And that usually works great when you're home and you're in front of your laptop. It works. If you want better sound, try to get within 6 inches. Your tone will be fuller and your noise will be 4 times less than at 12 inches away. But the best sound is at about 3 inches. My lavalier's at 4 inches. And that's about where you're going to get your best sound. Best tone, more signal, more voice, better clarity, less noise. As I've mentioned many times, we can't control Zoom. But we do control where the microphone is, and we can control how the signal is that we transmit. Now at home, not such a big problem, but we get in the room when we start to have hybrid meetings, and we have 12 people in the room all speaking and shuffling papers, and you have reflections in the room because there's a hard floor and maybe a hard ceiling. Whatever the noise source may be, whether it's reflections or noise, we can maximize the clarity of our voice, and we can have good intelligibility. It's all about where we put the mic. It's location, 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 baby.